Look, I never discourage individual action. Turn out your lights. Reduce your consumption of electricity. Try to look for greener food, for bio products, organic agricultural products. Yes, do things like that. But don't believe that this is going to change the world, even if we all or everybody does it. I say join something. Find an area that you're passionate about. It could be ecology, it could be women's issues, it could be financial issues, it could be, anything. But something that you are interested in, not something you feel you ought to be interested in, but something you would like to learn more about and work on it. And find an organization, and if there isn't one, make one yourself. What we have now, in my view, is a series of hierarchies, which I describe through concentric circles or spheres. And I think on the outside, it's very clear that the most powerful of those circles is finance today. Very short term, make as much money as you can, as fast as you can, put all your investments into financial products because that's how you can clean up in a very short time. Finance rules, and I could give you a lot of proof of that if you like. Second, you have the real economy, which is getting much less attention now, providing far less employment, but it is still, along with finance, in the driver's seat. Then you have society, only afterwards, including the state, including the government, which is having to follow the rules of finance and the economy. Our lives are totally conditioned by what finance wants. Look at Greece, look at Ireland, look at Portugal. They are absolutely dominated by the international financial system in their daily lives. And finally, we have the planet, the least important, the tiniest circle. That's just where we get our raw materials, and it's where we throw away our wastes and create more climate change. But that's the hierarchy as I see it now. And the task of humanity, which has never had to be faced before, because it is so colossal, is to reverse the order of those circles.
C'est une crise entre la très grosse masse du peuple et une toute petite classe que j'appelle la classe de Davos, qui existe dans tous les pays et qui est en charge de l'État. Et quelquefois, je blague en disant pourquoi on prend la peine d'élire un président de la République. Pourquoi ne pas mettre le président de Goldman Sachs ou de la Société Générale directement à la tête de l'État? Parce que ça serait beaucoup plus facile et ça nous coûterait beaucoup moins cher.
There's been, over the past 30 years, a huge wave of neoliberalism which has swept across the world. It began, of course, in the United States. It began as a conscious effort with the help of a certain number of right-wing intellectuals who encouraged the right wing to defend its ideas and to change the common sense of the country and of the world. And they were extremely successful. They invested a lot of money from private right-wing foundations, but they targeted ideas. They targeted the places where the ideas are developed and then communicated. Communication, a very important part of the strategy. I wrote a book about this called Hijacking America to explain exactly how they did it. And I call them the Gramscians of the right. If you know Antonio Gramsci, the Italian Marxist thinker, he said you can't take power simply by repression and violence. You have to get into people's heads. And that's what he called establishing cultural hegemony. And if you can do that, if you can become powerful culturally, and just people just think, oh, well, of course, that's the way it is. There isn't any other common sense. This is just, we don't even have to talk about it. It's so obvious. If you can do that, then you are going to have enormous power. And that's what they've established. So the truth is markets must be absolutely free. The market is always right. Private is always better than public. Everything should be privatized. Choice is what people want, but that means consumer choice. It doesn't mean the choice of having a decent school system, medical system. No, it means I can choose the best private school for my kid, or I can choose the best private hospital. But it isn't real choice, but that's what is now in people's heads. Government is bad. This is the fight that's going on in the United States right now between the Tea Party, and the Democrats are very, very timid in even defending the government. But this is absurd. The common sense of these people is absurd, but that is what has won. And so what can be done about it? I believe that is why ideas are important, and that's why I try to do the work that I do.
Tout ce que veut le G20 et le G8, c'est sauver les banques. Et dans ce sens, nous sommes dans une crise morale aussi, parce qu'on fait payer les peuples, et les banques et tous ceux qui ont causé la crise ne paient rien. On punit les innocents et on récompense les coupables. Et moi,
the states took on a lot of private debt. Ireland, for example, took on all the debt of the private banks and is saying to the Irish now, right now, you pay. No good schools, no good hospitals, sack all your civil servants, no family allowances, etc. And this is what's absurd, but this is what we are allowing to happen. And this is what Europe is aiding and abetting. And now Europe wants to look at our budgets nationally before we can spend a dime or a cent. They want to have total control over all of the areas that used to be purely national, and they seem to be succeeding. Now, is that because politics is too complicated for the average citizen to understand? Is that because citizens will only understand this when they get the full impact of it? I don't know, but this is what we should be on the streets against this. My answer to your question, how to do it, in one word, is alliances. We are at a point where politics is too complicated. No one can win by themselves. No interest group can win by itself. So farmers can't solve agricultural programs or problems by themselves. Trade unions can't solve workplace and salary problems by themselves. Ecologists can't change the environment by themselves, etc., etc. And therefore, now we have a duty to seek out other people with whom we share basically the same worldview. We won't have, our priorities may be different. That isn't a problem. But on certain very big issues, we agree. In other words, you feel that that's the most important thing, and I feel that this is the most important thing, but there's a place where our two circles of concern are going to overlap, and we can build on this common ground. And so we have to seek each other out, we have to learn to work together, and we have to try to make some victories together. A very great man said the following thing: all for ourselves and nothing for other people seems in every age of the world to have been the vile maxim of the masters of mankind. The masters of mankind want all for themselves and nothing for other people. Who said that? Not Karl Marx. It was Adam Smith, the great original theoretician of capitalism. He knew how they would behave if they were allowed to behave that way. All for ourselves, nothing for other people. That is war. If you take everything from someone, that's war. So I have to say class warfare. And that isn't hard to understand. And Adam Smith is the guide, all for ourselves, nothing for other people. And if the other people don't fight back, things will be taken gradually away from them, more and more, and they will be left with nothing. Therefore, this is a fight. We are fighting people who, if they are allowed, and if the law is in their favor, will take us back to the 19th century. And they would not think twice about that. So, if we don't join groups, a trade union, an ecological protection coalition, a group like ATTAC, or a group of teachers, or a group of health professionals, or whatever, take the part that makes you passionate, then if we're not together, we're going to lose. This is I couldn't be more serious. This is not a passing thing, and this is urgent because it's accelerating. They are getting bolder and bolder. They're getting more and more confident that they can win. They're using every instrument from the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the European Commission, all the legal instruments, and we are just looking as if we're at a tennis match, We have to stop that, focus on what's happening, and unite to fight against it.